Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome back, everyone. If you're looking to improve your life, move it forward, whether it's personally or professionally, you have to work on many different things. Part of that is your mindset. Part of that is the physical aspect, and they all go together. We're going to talk with two people today that can share a lot of insight on that. One of them is a professional certified coach who works with lawyers and executives to help really move their life forward. And she joins us today with somebody that is moving her life forward in a physical way, I guess we could say. Margaret Enloe joins us here today. Hey, Margaret, how you doing?
I'm good, Steve. Yeah, and very nice to see you again on the almost eve of Thanksgiving. So nice to be here.
Yeah, the food train is about to begin, so we'll get with that. When we talk introduce who you have with us today, please.
Yeah, my guest is Jason Rodriguez, and Jason is my personal trainer. And I've worked with you, Jason, since I think 2018, before the pandemic.
Correct.
So
yeah.
Glad you could join me here today, since
Happy to
we
be
know
here.
each other. Yeah, good.
Welcome. Yeah, lots to learn here, and I'm impressed that you've been on that journey for that long, Margaret.
Yeah. It's quite a while. Fortunately, Steve, I like exercise probably more than a lot of people. So yeah, I've been on that journey quite a while, and it's been going well. And it probably goes back many years before 2018, but I wasn't working with Jason before 2018.
Gotcha. And I can completely relate to this because I felt I was in some of the best shape in decades. 2 years ago or so, a little bit more. I was working with a trainer. Then, life kind of changed, derailed a little bit, gained some weight, and re-engaged somebody. And she's also a friend. So back with her again. But you really need to be intentional about it. If you're going to do it, you have to, in my mind, it's like Steve, beast mode. You really got to push it. Jason, why do people derail sometimes when they try to meet their fitness goals?
I think it's because we're all creatures of emotion, right? We think we're creatures of intellect, but we're not, right? So if we will tell ourselves, often it's Sunday night, right? We'll tell ourselves, hey, tomorrow morning I'm going to work out. Monday's a big popular day to start, right? But Monday morning, the alarm goes off and we say, I'm not getting out of bed, right? Because we're beings of emotion, pain and pleasure. We're driven by pain and pleasure. So if we affiliate something with pain, we're not going to do it. If we affiliate it with pleasure, we'll do it. It's pleasurable to stay in bed, right? And stay warm.
Sure.
But it's painful to get up and do the work, right? So we have to create affiliations with exercise where we say, hey, after we're done, we affiliate it with pleasure and we say, well, we're going to look better, we're going to feel better, we're going to have more energy, and we start to exercise. And that's like someone like Margaret, who's like a lifelong athlete. She has the right mentality where it's a little bit easier for her. And it's a matter of, always looking for that edge. We want a little extra, so that's where I come in.
How do you change your mindset to look at fitness as pleasure?
Yeah, that's a great question. It happens over time, right? We could be motivated by different things. Oftentimes I get clients who are motivated by fear. They went to the doctor. The doctor said, you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, your numbers are not good, you need to start exercising, right? So they're motivated by fear. So different things motivate people. I think the greatest motivator or the greatest thing, it's not necessarily about motivation, it's about discipline and building it. It has to be built over time. So we all brush our teeth, right? We wake up, we brush our teeth. That's a matter of discipline, right? So when it comes to exercise, we need to realize the importance, right? And that comes into play our intellect, and then make it a habit, make it almost automatic. So every morning, and it doesn't have to be an hour, it could be 10 minutes, but 10 minutes of movement every day. And once it becomes a habit, we have the discipline. And once we have the discipline, we become unstoppable. That's how someone changes their mindset from an unhealthy to a healthy mindset, where we wake up and we're like, something's missing if we didn't exercise, right? And when that happens, that's when we become healthier.
It's almost as if I have the visual of you cross the bridge. Once you cross over the bridge to the I didn't work out today. Yeah. And the brushing your teeth analogy, I also equate that to fear. So, dental health is fear involved. American Heart Association says you have to have good dental health as well for your heart. So that's in my fear category.
And let me just pick up on one thing you said, Jason and Steve, talking about fear. My husband got a bad report from the doctor, pre-diabetic, long time ago. And that was the thing that caused him to go to the gym. I had been trying to encourage him to do that, to stop eating the candy bars at lunch, perhaps. And finally, this one doctor report really put the fear in him. So, fear can be a pretty big motivator. It's nice.
I almost want doctors to lie sometimes when someone's overweight or whatever the situation. Well, it's okay to stretch the truth a little bit. Hey, you need to do something, because that's what motivates somebody sometimes.
I'm right there with you. My numbers, recently were a little flaky, but that wasn't the main reason. It was more of the memory of the way I was, and also the way I know I want to be. And, when you said overweight, Jason, it's amazing when you look at those tables, and I don't know how much, validity we put in them, but I'm obese right now.
That's the thing. Doctors' tables, if it's referring to BMI, right, body mass index, that's ridiculous. Basically, everyone in the NFL is overweight, right? Or every single player, anyone with any kind of muscle is overweight. There are certain BMI scales that say I'm overweight too, so don't feel bad. And I'm 6 feet, 185 pounds, and supposedly, a couple pounds overweight. So don't pay any attention to BMI, because that is the worst scale there could be.
Well, after hearing your height and weight, I'm definitely overweight. Because I'm like, I'm probably like 179 and I'm 5'7". So, and I know I got to drop like 15 easy.
And that's, that it's all relative. You look like you're in good shape. So, if we're feeling good and our pants are fitting okay and we're exercising, we're doing the right things.
But, and if I were to stand up, you would say, you look fine. It's more of this. And truth be told, when I was a child, I was overweight. So, that's still stuck in my head. So when I look in the mirror, I'm like, I'm okay. But it was like, you definitely have to drop. And we all have that sweet spot, right? Where you feel better at a certain number. I don't know why that is, but it is, right?
Yeah, that's true. And I think we all have to find that balance, right? Because we want to always be seeking excellence and improvement, right? We want constant and never-ending improvement. We want to be striving for something better, right? Margaret was already in pretty good shape. She's striving for something better. She gets a trainer. Myself, I'm always looking to get better, right? Physically, mentally, right? We use coaches, and that makes sense. But at the same time, we don't want to be obsessed where we're at the point where it's unhealthy, where, we're working out 2-3 hours a day, where we're afraid to have one cookie on Thanksgiving. And we don't want to go into that unhealthy area either. So we want to find that happy balance.
Gotcha. Margaret, how does it feel when you exercise? When you're, working with Jason, and I don't want to get into maybe, a little bit of the workout in a moment, but what's the overall feeling you get?
I would say satisfaction, and to some degree, a little fun, because I like kibitzing a little with Jason. We're on Zoom and I'm relaxed. So I'd say that's generally how I feel. I have always had, Steve, a lot of energy, and to some degree, it's a way of channeling that energy. And I think Jason has seen that. But it's, in that respect, it's easier for me. I will grant that. But I also know many other people for whom it is not so easy, but they get such satisfaction out of getting into some regular exercise and a routine, as Jason was talking about, around that.
How
Yeah.
about the connection with coaching and then adding the exercise component? Let's say that somebody, is just looking to up their game in terms of their professional life. How do you feel, Margaret, that pushes them further in their goals when they focus on their fitness?
I think absolutely it helps individuals who are looking to improve their, let's say, their career, their profession, a leadership position. If part of what they're doing is focusing or feeling better about their bodies and their energy, their exercise. So in this connection, I always ask my clients when I first start out coaching them to fill out something called the Wheel of Life. And the Wheel of Life breaks a life down into maybe 12 components. One of those is health. And I ask people to rate themselves on their overall health. And that's a big category. But when I see them put that dot on the wheel in a low position, that opens up a discussion almost always about, just tell me more about your health. Why do you put your dot there on the circle? And people will have different responses to that. But invariably, well, I shouldn't say invariably, many times it's, I know I need to get more exercise. I know I'd like to do something regularly. I used to, but I'm not doing it now. And so we'll talk about that and how that fits into their life. How much more do they want to do? What do they used to do? What do they think would make them feel good? And so I delve into that a little bit. I don't press it too much, but I just know that for them to feel healthy and exercising will help them so much in their professional lives. So I do get into it a bit.
Yeah. You don't know until you know. So many of us, I don't want to go to the gym. But once you get going, you start feeling the things that we're talking about here. Jason, what inspired you to get into training and PT work?
Yeah, so really, it was a mixture of things. I was, white collar America. I graduated with an economics degree from Stony Brook, and
oh wow, I'm right around the corner from Stony Brook.
And my goal was to, make money. That was it. And I figured if I make money and I get out of my mom's house and everything's good, I'm successful. So that's exactly what I did. I got out of my mom's house, worked in banking, and I was very, very unhappy. And I saw myself progressively getting bigger and bigger, meaning fatter and fatter. And I saw the people around me, men in my family and different things. And I just felt really bad about myself. And one day because I'd gone from an athlete to not an athlete. And one day I was on playing flag football with some friends, and he told me about this personal training class he was taking. And I was like, yeah, maybe I'll take it. And a few weeks later, my dad actually had a heart attack. And that for me was like an awakening. And I was like, wow, knock on wood, he made a recovery. But I was studying the heart, studying the body. And I was like, I'm going to go to personal training school now. Went to personal training school, graduated. But I was like, I'm a banker. It's what I do, right? I can't just become a trainer. But I was like, well, what if I could do that? Right? How would I feel about my life if I could do that? And I started to transition from there. So I would do personal training on the side. So I worked in banking for several years, still continuing, and I did training on the side until I made the leap. When my daughter was about 1 year old, I was working so much, and I was like, I gotta try. I gotta at least try to make this work. And that's when I started Fitness Journeys.
Wow. I can relate in some regards. My dad had a sudden heart attack when I was 21.
Wow.
And he was the picture of health. I wasn't super close with him, but we would play tennis. He would work out. He used to get on my case when I was a kid. Why are you putting salt on that? There's salt on everything. You don't need to do that. I haven't touched a salt shaker since I was 8 years old. I just haven't. I don't need it. Same thing with sugar. I have never put sugar in anything. I don't need it. Even sweets. I'm kind of bored. Every once in a while, I'm like, let me have a piece of cake. Oh, that wasn't worth it. But, to your point, in the back of my mind, I guess I'm thinking about my dad. And, I passed the age recently when he passed away. But yeah, I mean, it's, a lot of it plays in genetics. And do you do anything other than one-on-one coaching, Jason?
Yeah, I do. I do group classes. I teach boxing. I do some nutrition. So I do all of the above. I think, when I graduated personal training school, that was like the foundation. And then you figure out different ways of how you can help people, right? So, in summertime, I might do classes in the park, or I do the Zoom. The pandemic was eye-opening because it was like, I didn't even know what Zoom was, right? Until I started being able to do Zoom training as well. So yeah, it's nutrition, boxing, personal training, and whatever the client needs, right, to get healthier. That's really what I want to help people with.
We didn't even, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I have had a client who had been quite successful, and yet I realized and felt that he could be better off if he lost some weight, got into better shape, and recommended Jason to him. And he signed up with Jason, and what started very, very slowly. And now I think it's on a regular basis with Jason. You know better than I.
Yeah, he's doing great.
Yeah, so it's worked out well for my client, who has now become Jason's client. And but I think there are people, you talk, Steve, about going to the gym. Some people hate going to the gym. And that's one of the beauties of having Zoom, that people can easily do one-to-ones or even a group lesson with Jason by Zoom. So whereas I used to go to Jason in person, I'd scooter down to 57th Street, go up the steps, get into his gym. And now it's all by Zoom. And that works out well. My husband and I do it together, and yeah, we love it.
Yeah. It's interesting. Going to the gym can be intimidating, just what you're wearing, what are people are looking at me, all of that. Jason, tell me about Margaret's journey. You've worked with her for it's 5 or 6 years at least. Can you give us Margaret, don't listen up. Go off to the side here. Tell us about her journey.
I think Margaret is a remarkable person, period. Like, if anybody knows her, they know she's incredible and she's disciplined, right? And she was disciplined before. And I think what I am for Margaret, for someone like Margaret, is another tool in her toolbox, right? So she's disciplined around, okay, at this time I'm working out with Jason, right? And it's accentuated what she already is, which is a spectacular individual. She's her family, her business, her health. She's one of the few people who you can be like, yep, she gets it. She's got it all, right? And I'm just a tool in the toolbox, and I'm happy to be there for her to say, yeah, you know what? I'm going away. I've worked out with her. She's been in Greece. I'm going away. I'm going to have my workout. Boom.
Wow.
She's scheduled, right? And that's part of discipline, right?
Really all over the place with you. Pennsylvania.
She could go to North Carolina. Wherever she is, she could be like, yep, I got my workout, right? Whereas people, we talked briefly about, going to the gym. I love gym people. People who are going to the gym and they're disciplined and they go. That's great. But some people aren't disciplined, and what we want to do is eliminate obstacles, right? And if traveling to the gym is one obstacle, right? If figuring out, being self-conscious about other people looking at them could be another obstacle, right? Maybe Zoom is right for them, right? And that's what I try to do. I try to eliminate obstacles and get people healthier.
So, I'm sorry.
I'll just say one thing about a gym. I know some people get nervous about germs and they wipe everything down, and a lot of people don't care that much. They don't wipe it down. So that's another concern that some people have working at a gym.
Yeah, I never thought about that, and I wipe down the equipment after I use it. I'm not super concerned, but I'm aware, keep hands away from face, and et cetera. Nutrition. You mentioned that before, Jason. We haven't even touched upon that. Any initial thoughts that people should know when it comes to designing a program and keeping nutrition part of that healthy regimen?
Yeah, I mean, right now more than ever, there are all these different areas, right? And everybody's saying on all these social media platforms that they have the answer, that there's like a magic pill or something magical that can happen. And nutrition is incredibly complex and incredibly simple at the same time. People will say keto, paleo, this way, there's a bunch of different diets. I don't like the word diet because diet from a mental standpoint says it's a temporary way of doing things to get the desired result, right? You don't want temporary way of doing things. You want a permanent way of doing things that work consistently, right? That's what you want. So you don't want a diet. You want a manner of eating and nutrition. That's what you want. And the reason why I say it's incredibly simple is because it equates to the laws of thermodynamics, equate to calories in, calories out, right? If you have a certain number of calories and you expend a certain number of calories, right, and you spend more than you put in, you will lose weight. If you take in more than you spend, you will add weight. And if you about equal, then you'll maintain your weight, right? So that's all things being, considered. Calories in, calories out is the biggest aspect of weight loss or weight gain. That being said, we want to have our nutrients, right? So we want to have a certain amount of vegetables or nutrition involved, right? Fruits and vegetables, and we want to have our protein, right? So for me, and a lot of fitness people say this, but I do agree in this aspect. Protein is the most important macronutrient we're going to have. So if we have our protein number and we're below in calories, we're going to consistently lose weight and hopefully maintain our muscle.
What's a good number in terms of protein daily that we should be intaking?
So I like, if you're exercising pretty regularly, I like 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body weight. So that's a lot. A lot of people would say that's a lot, but protein is also satiating, which is why I like people to have a lot of protein. So for example, Steve, you said you were about 179 pounds. And let's say, for argument's sake, in your opinion, your ideal body weight was 165 pounds, right? So my suggestion would be you have 165 grams of protein per day. That would be the protein number, 165 grams of protein per day. And then we would want to be under in calories, right? So this is also mathematical. So for a man, what I do with men is I take their ideal body weight, which would be, let's say, for argument's sake, for what you said before, 165 times 15 would be the caloric maintenance level. Now, if you want to mate, that would be the maintenance level, and then you minus 300. And that's how you find your calories. And then the rest can be filled out with carbohydrates and fats. So it can be very mathematical. I know people don't think in terms of that, but when they find the number, and then whether or not you get a tracker, a food, whether you're using MyFitnessPal or there's, a few other ones where you're like monitoring your calories or whatever. I want it to be almost mindless, where you kind of know what you're doing. But we're all, I've said this before, but we're all like science experiments, right? When the experiment is working, we kind of keep going with that. When the experiment is not working, we make little changes until we can work.
It's clear your previous career in finance helped you in terms of numbers here. Because I'm
That's what I would say.
like 300, what? Refreshing, wonderful talking with you both today. Really, really has been. Learned a lot. Margaret, tell everybody if somebody wants to start working with you on a coaching level, moving life forward, how do they find you?
They can find me, Steve, by going to my website, which is my name, margaretenloe.com, or they can easily find me on LinkedIn.
Gotcha. And Jason, you want to share some contact info?
Yeah, I can be reached at fitnessjourneys with an S, nyc@gmail.com, or I could be found on Instagram or LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. Thank you both for today. Learned a lot, and especially even right down to the protein intake. Whoa.
Maybe Jason could send you that calculation he did for
I
you.
can. Yeah, I can. If you reach out to me, I'll send it to you.
I am gratified to hear that. I'm also, when it comes to numbers, I'm the worst. So you're going to have to hold my hand. What's your Gmail again, Jason? It was
Fitness Journeys with an S, nyc@gmail.com.
Gotcha. Awesome. Thank you both for today. Really appreciate it. And happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We'll be right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.